Comic Boom.
Hey guys, Comic Boom here for another episode of my Rant and Rave. And I'm going to be ranting on this particular episode on Batman issue 72. Now, the thing is, on my last Batman review, Batman 71, I said it was going to be my last Batman. I sort of gave up on it because I didn't want to be negative, right? And I'm not a fan of the Tom King narrative, and I had enough of it. And so I thought, time to put an end to it. And then I'd come back to Batman, maybe review it, if there was some surprise or it picked up. Now, as it turned out, then, I mean, what are the odds, right? Batman, 71 issues of Batman. Nonsensical mess. Or rather, in fairness, it had story arcs. Some were okay, some were really bad. Individual issues here and there weren't bad. But as an overarching narrative, the 71 issues didn't really work. But then along comes issue 72, and Tom King tries to explain everything in one issue. Now, and, well, look, I wanted to keep my word and not technically break my word immediately by coming back and reviewing the next issue when I just said I wasn't going to review Batman. So technically I'm cheating a bit because I'm putting this under my Rant and Rave videos. I'm just happen to be ranting about Batman 72. But in any event, let me say this about issue 72. Tom King, of course, tries to explain how we already knew that Bane was manipulating all these events in Batman's life. At least it was strongly hinted at. Now, most of us knew that, especially those of us who have been reading every single issue, and I've been doing that. And all of us who've been reading every single issue from issue 1, we can see the strands that are there. And while the strands don't really link up particularly well, and they don't, we knew that just from social media, not from the story proper, we knew from social media that Bane was doing all this. Yes, Bane showed up at the end of issue 50, and it looked as if maybe it hinted that Bane was maybe using the Psycho Pirate to manipulate some minds, and maybe, you know, Bane had been doing something to manipulate events. But we never really appreciated the extent of it. But here's the disappointing thing about Batman 72. Every horrible theory that I had, that I created in my head, and that others I know created in their head in order to make the first 71 issues actually work, it's actually true. Issue 72 is not a good issue because it's surprising. It's not a bad issue because it's surprising. It's either a good or a bad issue, depending on where you fall in the Tom King sliding scale. It's a good or bad issue precisely because it is so unsurprising. It really does try to shoehorn all those 71 issues in and make them work, and it just doesn't work. Let me give you an example. The very first issue 1 of the first story arc of Tom King's Batman introduced us to Gotham Girl and Gotham. And the very first issue of Batman was, I actually liked it. It did get Batman in touch with his mortality. But it was also an astonishingly crazy issue of Batman. That was one where Batman saved the plane. Batman actually drove his Batmobile on a bridge, flew the Batmobile off a bridge. As the Batmobile was flying through the air off the bridge at precisely the right angle, he shot himself out of the Batmobile into the air like 300 or 400 or 500 feet on a parabolic arc, landed on a jet that was crashing into Gotham City, lands on the jet, uses his batarangs, pulls the ailerons up of a massive 747 jet, and steers it into safety where he thinks he's going to die. But he's gonna crash the jet into the ocean. He thinks he's gonna die, and he reflects on his emotions. He says to Alfred, tell me I did good. Tell me it was worth it. You know, it was kind of a touching scene, but it was a ridiculous scenario. But Tom King made up for it because of the emotional impact of Batman's reflection on his mortality. Well, it turns out that Bane planned all of that. Bane somehow knew that Batman was going to find a way to get onto the plane. Somehow, just think about this now for a second. This was just one example. Bane somehow knew that Batman would figure out a way to fly off, first of all, drive his Batmobile, fly off a bridge, parabolic arc, onto a plane, aileron, Bane somehow knew that Batman was going to do that. Bane further knew that when Batman did that, he would reflect on his mortality. And then Bane further knew then Bane was the one that sent in Gotham Girl and Gotham to rescue Batman. And then every single thing that happened after that was all Bane. Everything planned, it was all Bane. The next incredible thing, now when I mean everything was all Bane, the next thing is, and perhaps the most egregious, astonishing, it's so comical that apparently Bane planned, and this is the most egregious error, is that Bane actually knows how to time travel. Bane somehow got a hold of Skeets. He got a hold of Booster Gold. Bane somehow acquired 24th century technology. Bane somehow manipulated Skeets, programmed Skeets to manipulate Booster Gold into going into the future and creating going into the past, saving Bruce Wayne's parents, creating a future where Bruce Wayne's parents don't die, and creating a happy Bruce Wayne. And of course, that was a disaster in that arc. Remember how Booster was so out of character? I mean, Tom King forced all this. Apparently, that was all a plan by Bane. But what's so incredible is that Tom King changed the time travel story. That time travel arc called The Gift, that was all Bane. That was all actually Bane's plan. But Tom King changed the story. And he actually changed the story because now the narrator in issue 72, who's Flashpoint Batman explains that Booster Gold took Batman with him and that he showed Batman a future where he was happy. He showed it to him. That's what it says. Now, Booster Gold never took Batman with him to the past. That's demonstrably untrue. That's simply not true. Yet that is what it says. It actually says that Booster Gold showed Batman an alternate timeline where he was happy and his parents were alive. That's not what happened. What in fact happened is that Booster Gold came back. He was all emancipated. He was a mess, and he actually spoke to Batman and Selina at the same time, told him what he had experienced. That's how they found out. Now, quite frankly, if you think about it, Booster Gold, after he came back from that timeline experience, was traumatized. He ended up in Sanctuary. He was a mess. But Tom King would have us believe, according to issue 72, that apparently, no, Booster Gold actually showed Batman the past. It was Batman who came back. Tom King now has changed his story and says that Batman told Catwoman what Booster Gold did, and he told Catwoman that he was essentially with Booster Gold in the past, in the alternate timeline, saw the past. But Catwoman became troubled by that because she was troubled that, oh my God, if a happy Batman in an alternate timeline is the only one who's happy and everyone else is miserable, maybe that's a bad thing. That is followed up by Catwoman encountering the Joker in the church. And what happens in the church? Well, according, again, to the narration here of Batman 72, Flashpoint Batman refers to the Joker as one of Selina's old friends, which is also ridiculous. The Joker is not one of Catwoman's old friends. They're not friends. They're not friendly. Catwoman never listens to the Joker, but he implies that Catwoman always listens to him. She actually doesn't. And guys, the reference for this, one of my favorite storylines of Tom King was better ones was the War of Jokes and Riddles. And one of the things that, if you recall from the War of Jokes and Riddles, is that Selina, Catwoman herself specifically, stayed out of the War of Jokes and Riddles. Selina never picked a side, if you recall. She didn't want to be on the Joker side. She didn't want to be on the Riddler side. She didn't want to be part of that mess. She didn't want anything to do with either of them. She stays away from from the rest of it. Selina is her own person. And yet here we are, in order to make this story work, Tom King has to change his own story. Now he's changing his own narrative. Now suddenly Catwoman is the type that actually listens to the Joker. So in order to, if you put all these pieces together, if you try to make this story work according to Tom King, he's now trying to get you to forget all these little specific details of past storylines because he's changing. He's actually changing the storylines of the past in order to shoehorn in a story or an overarching narrative that makes this work all to try to convince you that Bane has done all of this, which is, of course, he's the writer. He can force whatever he wants, but make no mistake, he is forcing it. And that's what's so disappointing. So again, let's back up and draw the timeline here. Trying to orchestrate all these events. Batman comes in tune with his mortality, all a plan by Bane. Then we follow that out, and then Catwoman comes into the picture. Again, all part of Bane's plan. Batman and Selina fall in love. Apparently, all part of Bane's plan. He knew they were going to fall in love. Furthermore, apparently, if you believe this storyline, Batman's never been surrounded by love before. Batman's never been happy. Batman's not happy with his own family. He's not happy with Robin or Damian, his own son. He's not happy with Barbara Gordon, or he's not happy with Tim or Dick Grayson, his adopted son. He's not happy with any of those. In fact, Tom King belittles that by suggesting that those are only his warriors. That's part of his army, as if somehow they're not important. They're not important at all. Suddenly, Selina is far more important because she's just different. And so none of those other people in Batman's life, like Alfred, example, all the people that surround his life, like his own son Damian, adopted son, none of those matter. It's only Catwoman that has this profound effect on him. And then Catwoman comes into his life, but then all of a sudden, Bane has this master plan, so he somehow acquires 24th century technology, manipulates Keats into manipulating Booster to go into the past to try to change and give Batman a gift of showing Batman what his life is like with his parents being saved. But Booster doesn't actually show Batman that, because Batman comes back after that bad experience, which is a horrible timeline, and he tells Batman and Selina that. But guess what? Tom King changes it. Now suddenly he's changed the storyline and said he showed Batman that. He didn't. In fact, Selina and Batman saw this emancipated, psychologically screwed up Booster Gold come back from the past, give them this ridiculous story, and they thought he was so crazy they sent Booster Gold off to Sanctuary. But Tom King would have us believe that this profoundly affected Selina, this profoundly affected Catwoman, that it caused her doubt, and Selina, who doesn't even know Booster Gold from Adam, for God's sakes. We're supposed to believe that Selina suddenly goes into this, oh my God, this strange emancipated idiot from the past, time-traveling moron, he's made me double guessed. I wonder if a happy Batman, maybe I shouldn't marry Batman. And then following that, oh my God, she's confronted with the Joker in a church. She saves Batman and suddenly goes, oh my God, I listened to this emancipated Booster Gold. Now that I'm fighting the Joker, surprise, surprise, is trying to manipulate me, and now the Joker tells me that I can't be happy with Batman. Gee, I can't think for myself. I might as well believe in emancipated Booster Gold and a screwed up psychopath called Joker. How is that not insulting to Catwoman? This is absolute, complete craziness. Absolute nonsense by any metric. Unbelievable. But hey, there you go. But that's what you gotta believe in order to make these storylines work. But again, this is because Tom King has screwed up these storylines and he has actually changed his story. None of this works. None of this works. And I got to tell you, all those, all you guys that are loving Tom King's run, there's no question. I can show you the 2 pages which I will have shown you by now, which contradict each other. That alone is an egregious error. He's changed his own story in order to make this work. It just doesn't work. And also, just as a final insult to those who have followed, to all of us, an insult to everyone who's followed the storyline so far, understand that nothing that has happened in this storyline from issue 1 has happened naturally. It's all been by Bane's manipulations, which, when you think about it, is absurd, because it's not necessary. Did we really need Bane to manipulate the first the Gotham Girl arc, the opening arc? No. We didn't need that. It compromises the entire thing. The whole thing is tainted now. Now that I know that first arc, those deeply touching scenes where Batman was in touch with his mortality, where Gotham Girl's loss of her brother Gotham, that affected her profoundly. It made Batman reflect on his own past with the loss of his parents. All that now, it means so much less because it's all part of this storyline that is awful and forced, and it doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel. It's all of it's compromised. It's just so sad to see. The War of Jokes and Riddles. Why did they have to connect the War of Jokes and Riddles to this? The War of Jokes and Riddles was a decent enough tale. It was an interesting story about Batman's experience where he almost killed the Joker, almost killed the Riddler, but the Joker stopped him. That was kind of a cool storyline, you know. It had its wrinkles as well, but why did you need to connect that to this overarching that Bane couldn't have controlled that, but apparently we're supposed to believe that he was? Also, Flashpoint Batman. Flashpoint Batman was introduced into the mainstream universe in a series called The Button. That was I don't even know. I can't even remember anymore. What was that? 21 issues in to the Batman run. That the Flashpoint Batman came into the mainstream DC universe, and then, but we didn't know that. But apparently, we were aware that Flashpoint Batman. We knew the timeline was that the Flashpoint Batman at the end of The Button had disappeared in time, and then he showed up in Batman 50. At the end of Batman 50, standing beside Bane in the basement of Arkham Asylum. Since we know that, we knew that Flashpoint Batman probably had some involvement with Bane. Now it ends up that Bane has told Flashpoint Batman all of this, because Flashpoint Batman is the person doing their narrating, doing the omniscient narration in Batman issue 72. Flashpoint Batman is doing all that narration, explaining all this, which means that Bane must have explained it all to him, because there's no way that Flashpoint Batman could possibly have known about what had taken place prior to his appearance in the 21 issues before Flashpoint Batman even appeared in the first place. So the fact that Flashpoint Batman is the narrator is in and of itself stupid. But the point of it, I guess, is to get to the end of it so that Flashpoint Batman can brag and say he wants to, Bane, I want to help you do this. I want to help break down my son. Now, understand that Flashpoint Batman, by the way, this ruins Flashpoint too. As I said before, that emotional ending to Flashpoint where Flashpoint Batman sacrificed his life. He actually destroyed an entire universe so that his son might live. So his son Bruce might live in our timeline. That's what Flashpoint Batman did. We're to believe that Flashpoint Batman, after coming into our mainstream universe at the end of the story of The Button, comes in our universe and is so disappointed in his son, rather than just being happy to see him, and just saying, hey, oh my God, you're my son, and embracing him and getting to know him, we're to believe that he works with one of Batman, his son's greatest enemies, to destroy him. You really think that makes any sense at all? I'm disgusted. Absolutely disgusted. This is appalling. Absolutely appalling. But hey, it's a rant. I can be as appalled as I want. Now, again, I say again that despite all this, there are moments in Tom King's run where I can take them out of context. I can take them out of sequence, in isolation to each other as individual stories. They're pretty good. Some of them are okay. But trying to make every single thing that has happened in the previous 71 issues part of some master plan by Bane, Bane's an idiot. You're never going to be able to convince me he's intelligent. Well, and even if he's intelligent, he's not genius level. Come on. He's not like Lex Luthor. I mean, what are you doing? This is absurd. This is ridiculous. That's my rant. There are so many holes and flaws in Batman 72 that there really isn't any point going through all of them. I could go through. There are many more. The simple fact of the matter is, when it comes to Tom King, his apologists out there just won't see the flaws. Or if they do, I think that, I guess I'm like that with some writers too. If you're hell-bent on finding something to enjoy about Tom King's Batman, so be it. Like I said, I've enjoyed some things, but this overarching narrative, Tom King has really catastrophically blown it here. You really see how he's forced it. And in particular, those 2 pages that I put up there showing how he has literally changed the story on the ending of The Gift. Wow. That's just incredible. It's just insane. Absolutely insane. And it's just so disappointing to see, because I think we readers deserve better, quite frankly. And thank God he's off. I'm very disappointed that we've got to put up 14 more issues of this before he's off Batman, because this is awful. I don't know why. What do we need 14 more issues of this plus another 12? I don't want him. Ugh. God. Anyways, I'm done. Rant finished. Whatever. I got other things I can rant about. I got some things I can rave about, but I'm done this video because it just put me in a bad mood. Good grief. Sorry guys, it is what it is. I actually changed my shirt and my cap midstream, and I had to re-edit it in because I had to actually stop because parts of this I went Joker. I was Jokerized. I was a Jokerized comic boom for like 10 minutes. I had to completely edit it out, and I'm going to because it's insane. Anyways, guys, I'll talk to you later. Comic boom out.